Well, what's up? Hey, hello, everyone. Today we are here not doing a season 32 podcast, but we're going to be doing like a best moves in Survivor history podcast. And this could definitely be a series because it was hard to narrow it down to just 10 moves that we're going to be talking about today. So, my name is Rachel.
And I'm Alyssa. Just a note, most of these moves do have to do with playing the hidden immunity idol, so if we continue this series, we'll probably do some more moves that aren't as idol related. So the first one that we had is one of the most recent in this past season, season 31, and Wentworth played an idol negating 9 votes, which is the most votes ever negated by a hidden immunity idol, and Savage got voted out because she and Sierra voted for him. So this move, I think, deserves a spot on the list just because it's history making because it's the most votes ever negated by a single hidden immunity idol. And part of that is due to the fact that they had a larger merged tribe size, but part of it is also Wentworth and Sierra were able to keep so quiet about the idol and making sure that no one knew, so they didn't split the votes.
Yeah, I know. I really liked this moment last season because, like, when Kelly pulled out that idol, everyone else's face was like, oh, bleep word here. And then, like, they were like, shoot, it might be me going home. And then when Jeff read that Savage name, I was just like, heck yeah, this is so funny because Savage is like, it was good to get him out. And it was sort of like a turning point in the game because no longer were like the three witches like on the bottom, but then afterwards they were sort of able to integrate into the bigger tribe dynamics to last longer than they would
It
have.
gave them the leverage they needed to play a game.
Yeah, and then just like everyone underestimating Kelly Wentworth, like they were like, oh, she doesn't have an idol. Well, surprise, she
And then
did.
she had another one. So do you want to talk about that?
Yes, so the second move that we have is when Wentworth and Jeremy both played their idols at the same tribal council, which negated all of the votes, which is the first time ever in Survivor history where technically no real votes were cast in a tribal council. So like that tribal council, it was like on fire.
It
It
was
was
so cool.
Yeah, it was so crazy because Kelly pulled out hers and then all of them voted for Kelly and then Jeremy pulled out his and all the other group voted for Jeremy. So then it was like, ha ha ha, so funny, no one's voted for. And then it went down to the nitty picky because Spencer couldn't be voted for because he had individual immunity. So it was just down to Tasha, Kimmy, and Keith. And then it was crazy. And then Keith is like offering himself to go home. And then Wentworth is like, nay, nay, not today. We need Kimmy. Like,
And Jeff
Kimmy should go.
had to pull out his little whiteboard to explain it all, and I'm pretty sure that it did cause someone was backstage frantically looking through the rule book to see what to do in this case. I feel like just because it's not something that happens every day.
Yeah, I know. It was so like complicated with the cuz like you don't even need to draw rocks if they can't come to a decision on who to vote out. Then it's just the last one standing and Keith would have drawn the rock to send him home if they drew rocks.
Because it's literally only one rock. But
Yeah.
anyway, so our next vote is when splitting votes went awry in Heroes versus Villains, and Tyson essentially voted himself out because he voted for Parvati instead of Russell like he was supposed to. And then Russell played a hidden immunity idol on Parvati, and Tyson had more votes once all of Parvati's votes were negated. So he pretty much voted himself out. And I think that speaks a lot to the dangerous nature of the split. And that's also part of what allowed Kelly Wentworth, I feel like, to negate 9 votes because people are just always so afraid of splitting votes. Because if one thing goes wrong, then someone on your side can go home. And I feel like Tyson is the perfect example of that.
Yeah, I know. This tribal council was so sad. I just like rewatching it like after the fact, like knowing what's gonna happen because it's like so crazy. Russell like goes out on a whim and then gives the idol to Parvati, but then like Boston Rob and all of them are like, ha ha ha, now Russell's going home. And then like while Jeff is reading the votes, Russell looks like he's about to like poop in his pants because he's getting so many votes. And then when he reads that last Tyson one, then Tyson is like, oh dang, I just screwed myself over. And then that was the downfall of like the villains alliance of the Boston Rob people, because then like the Russell villain alliance went on to get to near the end.
Yeah. So do you want to talk about the next one?
Yeah, so going along with drawing rocks, the fourth one that we have on our best moves in history is in season Blood versus Water 1 when they drew rocks. So Sierra was in the middle, and then she like forced the rock drawing after Big Brother Hayden did a great talking to her. Like he really persuaded her, and she definitely saw that she would have been on the bottom of the Jervis, Monica, Tyson alliance. So then like that plan, it would have been so great if Katie didn't draw the rock to send her to Redemption Island. Like if Jervis drew the rock, then the whole ending of the game would have been changed. But because it was like two drawing the rock, no, shoot. It was Tyson who drew the rock. Jervis had individual immunity, and then they voted Monica and Hayden, so they were immune. So then if Tyson drew that rock, like, it would have been crazy. But it was like a 2-1 split, so then obviously there's more chance for Katie or Sierra to draw the rock.
Yeah, I feel like that's part of the thing with rock drawing. Like, you have to weigh the risks and rewards. Because, like, I feel like Sierra put herself in an even worse place by saying, like, oh, I'd rather play the game with them than play it with you. Just because once you force people to draw rocks, they realize, like, you are serious about your alliance. Because most people are like, well, if we have to draw rocks, I'd rather not.
Yeah, definitely. People don't want to risk going home out of picking a rock out of a bag when it's like not up to you, but it's like legit probability and chance. And it was like when Tyson was there, he says, I want to draw last, which is really good because in stats last year, it's actually like more chance of getting like the better thing if you go not first. Because when you go first, there's a higher probability that you're going to pick like the bad thing. Yeah.
Because if you go first, there's a 1 in 3 chance.
Yeah, so that's
Oh, and then if the first person, I feel you.
yeah, so that's a trick. If you ever draw rocks, don't be like I'll go first. Be like in the middle or the end.
Yeah. So, anyways, the next one we had on our list was in China when James was voted out with 2 immunity idols. And Rachel and I were talking about this a little bit before the broadcast started. And what we pretty much thought it came down to was like the whole social aspect of the game because yeah, it was a really great strategic move, but if they hadn't been so good at like lying and playing it cool, I feel like James would have whipped out one of those idols just because when you do have 2 hidden immunity idols, it's a little bit easier to play one because you know like, oh, I have a backup.
Yeah, like literally everyone on that season, like during that episode, must have made him feel like so secure. Like PG's acting was on point, like acting like she was gonna go home. And like PG really went out on a limb. Amanda was like, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, you know, you want to act like you're going home. It's in your favor. But like PG didn't have to listen to Amanda. She could have been like talking to everyone, trying to strategize. And like if like that whole thing didn't work, then James could have and then like yeah, if James pulled out the idol, then Todd would have gone home.
And Todd eventually won the game. So.
Yeah.
And what we were also talking about is if James used his idol, he could have potentially gotten to the final. They had a final 2 that season.
No, 3.
Final 3. Yeah. Final 3, and he would have done it with little to no effort because he could have played an idol, one individual immunity once, played the other idol, and boom, he's in the final 4 pretty much.
Yeah, so it's definitely a great strategic move for everyone in China to get him out because he could have just idled his way into the end. Yeah. And going with idols on individual immunity idol, another great move we have is in the fans versus favorite when the Black Widow Brigade gets Eric to give his individual immunity idol to Natalie, and then the girls vote Eric out. This was just like so funny to watch. Like, it's like great TV because I just want to see it happen. Like, they were talking about it and talking it up, and then Saria's like, maybe Eric will give it to you. Then Natalie was like, how dumb would you have to be to give up your individual immunity? And like, that's just a fun thing. I like when people play like sticks as fake idols because it's just funny.
I just think like her excuse wasn't even like a real thing. Like, giving me the hidden immunity idol will signal that it's okay to vote Amanda out. Like, how is that like any sort of good signal? You know?
Yeah, and then it was like, you need the jury to be on your side, so give me the immunity necklace. And then Eric was like to Suri and Natalie, like, why can't we just vote Amanda now and not give up the immunity necklace? And then Suri was like, oh, I can't trust you, your words are not credible anymore. So if you give her the necklace, then your words become more credible. Like, dang, that was just
one
so
of those
great.
things where like watching it from home, you have to be like, how dumb do you have to be? But I feel like if we were Eric in that moment, because it was like day 30, they were all sleep deprived, they were all nutrient deprived, they were all probably dehydrated. Like, it was a great move because like any number of things could have gone wrong and none of them did. And it's one of those things where if it hadn't been pulled off, it would have been but since it was just brilliant.
Yeah, and like none of the girls on the favorites wanted to go with Natalie, who was a fan, to the end, and no one wants to go with Eric to the end because like they're the fans, and then the favorites have already played before, so like they weren't gonna take Natalie to the end. So just doing this to like bring her along to have the all girls thing and like vote her out next time was great.
So next on the list is another one from Heroes versus Villains because that was a pretty great season as far as idol plays, mostly because of the villains. So this is another villain awesome play. So Parvati had two idols and she played one on Jerry and one on Sandra, and that was what allowed them to vote out JT, and that was the beginning of the end for the Heroes. And it was pretty great.
Yeah.
JT gave Russell the idol that Russell gave to Parvati that Parvati used to vote JT out. Which,
Yeah.
like, it's another situation where, like, they just screwed themselves over.
Yeah, it's like, and then Russell's like the talking, I'm having a brain fart. The talking thing, he was like, now people are just giving me idols. I don't even need to find them without the clues. I'm just getting them. But it was like great. Amanda was like to Parvati, like, oh, Parvati, you need to play the idol for yourself to save yourself. And then like
Amanda's not a very good actor, though.
they didn't know she had two, and then she whips out the second one. Like, she first
I
gave
don't think
this.
anyone knew she had two because Russell thought she only had the one that he had given her.
Yeah, and then
Did Danielle know that she had two? I don't know.
but she gave it to Sandra at first, and all of the heroes were like, ha ha ha, nice. And then when she whipped out the one for Jerry, they were like, oh dang, like one of us is going home now. So
I think that's one of those moments where you can actually see when like someone's heart drops into their stomach.
Yeah.
Because like you get that feeling when you realize, we screwed up. And I think that if you watch that tribal council, you can see that moment for a lot of them.
Yeah, it's scary. Like, they could pick any one of you to go home, and then you just don't want to see your name on that card. But once JT goes home, and then the coach Courtney JT at Ponderosa, those videos were on point.
That was amazing.
That was like the best Ponderosa videos ever.
They had a band, and it was so cute.
Yeah. So next we have Tony in Brains Brown Beauty 1 when he plays the idol for LJ, and then LJ plays the idol for Tony, which totally gets rid of LJ's idol, so they're able to blindside him in the future, which is really great because neither Tony or LJ had their name come up, so Tony just played his idol to get LJ to waste his idol.
I just like, it's another one of those moments where I don't really see the logic behind it. Where like, yeah, it was a great move, but I'm like, LJ, why would you do that? So, and like you said, neither of their names came up, so it was an idol wasted. And I feel like a lot of times we think a lot about the immunity idols that were played really brilliantly, like the ones we've been talking about earlier in this episode. But in the second fans versus favorites, I'm pretty sure that Malcolm used an idol like 3 times, and none of those times saved him. So.
Oh yeah, but yeah, I maybe like LJ was thinking, maybe I'll be nice. So maybe you have to like separate the being nice and being like, no, yeah, let me take that idol from you. Thanks, friend.
Yeah. You have to separate being nice and playing the game, and I feel like a lot of people need to learn that.
Yeah, be like, thanks for the idol, bye.
Yeah. So next on the list is Rob and Redemption Island. And I feel like talking about Rob and Redemption Island, all you really have to say is Rob in Redemption Island, because like he was like the fearless leader, and he totally pagonged the other tribe in Redemption Island, and it was like pretty sweet.
Yeah, see, Rob, like, if anyone else won that season, it would, like, even though that season was sort of, like, not as good as others because it was, like, a straight pagonging of the tribe that Russell Hantz started on, like, like, Rob just, like, owned his tribe. He was like, we're gonna have separate eating places, separate sleeping places. It's a real, like, separate distinction between our tribe and their tribe. Like, no making friends with them. And like Rob really controlled Crazy Phillip really well.
I feel like if anyone but Rob had won in Redemption Island, Survivor would just be like canceled forever.
Yeah, there was
And
no
then
one
we'd
else
have
that
to
could
watch
have
another
won.
season with Rob. And like, I love the guy. He's great television, but 3 was more than enough for me. Number 4 just got a little excessive.
Yeah, and definitely those seasons where like one returning player comes back are like sort of rigged because it's not fair that he's played so much and he's gotten so close to the end and like everyone else is coming in their first time. So
yeah, like
sort of
Rob
sucks.
played more days of Survivor than any of them. Like all of them combined.
Yeah, so going along with like a pagonging, we have in the South Pacific at the merge when it was like a tie, but then Coach gets Cochran to flip onto their side and then pagong the rest of Cochran's original tribe that he started on, which I can see because Cochran says he's like he didn't fit in with them, they were bullying him. But then Cochran still ended up in the same position. So I guess it's like a risk you have to take in, but he was still like 7th or whatever, 6th or 7th.
Yeah. So that was all 10 of our top 10 moves. If you guys have any more that you think should have made this video, be sure to comment down below and also comment and say whether or not you'd like to see a continuation of this series and whether or not you want to hear more that we have to say about the best moves in Survivor history.
Yeah, so thank you all so much for watching. And also, if you have anything like season 32 related that you want to see or just comments, we always reply to the comments in the below, in the not the description, in the comments section. So yeah, we love doing this, and we'll see you guys next week. So this Friday, actually, since we're off a few days.
Mwah.
Bye.